control. I mean, I know they're saying that, but I mean, you see a lot of control here and vertical integration, massive consolidation of the international structure right now. I believe by design, and a lot of others believe by design. Even Stiglitz says they've done this by design. In other cases, says he doesn't know if this is by design. He's been out of the IMF World Bank for 7 years. I mean, what say you ye on that?
Well, I think it's controlled chaos, but only controlled to a degree at this time. What it'll evolve in eventually is collapse. Now, the question is, can they control the people of the world during the collapse period? And that's why they're doing what they're doing with Northern Command and bringing troops in and things like that. They think that they can control it by using American and perhaps even other forces. And that is their goal, because what they've been trying to do is a mess. And they're trying to do the best they can to control the collapse. And that's why it looks like it's working the way you just described for them. In other words, the consolidation is working and they're doing what they can. But in the end, it's still going to collapse.
And then I guess we'll be a banana republic ruled by Northcom? Exactly.
Unless the people use the 450 million weapons that they've got in America and say, look, we don't want that, and if the troops do not lay down their weapons, we're going to kill them all.
Well, the Declaration of Independence says it's not only our right, it's our sacred duty, but through cognitive dissonance, people think it's I mean, they say do whatever. Let them take your children, go to FEMA camps, line up in ditches. There is no moral right to resist any action of criminal government. And now it's not even government. The Federal Reserve openly just says, sit down. I mean, I got the quotes here. Sit down, shut up. And it's now, like you said, you might be right. They might have lost control, because it really is reaching a la-la land proportion. And then now they're recalling brigades from Iraq, which we knew they were gearing up for. But I mean, see, well, how did they know the eventuality of the collapse of the economy then to have troops for that? As they say for economic collapse and dealing with Americans. And it says, they hope they won't have to shoot us. That's in the Army Times. We hope. I mean, they're now the Army Times is saying, we hope we don't have to shoot you. I mean, they're really, I guess because they have to be brazen and out in the open, so the troops go, well, it's in the Army Times. I mean, I guess.
Well, there's the flip side to that. I hope we don't get killed in the process, because they get more weapons than we have. I mean, we could field 35 million adults. I mean, how many are they going to field? 500,000?
Well, I mean, I just can't. I mean, literally, the U.S. Army is now invading the United States, and ahead of economic collapse. God help us! Look what these bastards have done, Bob. I just can't believe it. I mean, we've been knowing.
I can't either. But even as long as I've been associated with it, I didn't think it would get this far, and it has.
Well, we'll come back and talk about that, because that's what blows my mind. Is that even if you consciously, intellectually, coldly analyze the facts, and then this answer pops out of total tyranny, martial law, they state that. It's not our opinion. It's not even our analysis. They just say it to see it unfolding, to see them doing it, to understand that they're just going for broke, and they got a bunch of roid-head idiots that are going to follow them right to hell. And I just can't believe it. God help us. Okay, Bob, here we go. I want you to speak about that. Here we go.
Today.
Yeah, we've known this was coming for a long time. That it's all public, government documents declassified, martial law, tyranny, breaking up families, forced inoculations, people living in communal skyscrapers under police control. That's the plan. One-child policies. That's the bare minimum. And they wanted to have economic implosion. But Bob is saying, and many other analysts say, it got out of control. The pyramid Ponzi thing they built and the crooks they hired to run it, the kind of mid-level managers even got out of control. And so now the whole thing is in jeopardy, which is even more dangerous in a way. But it shows they're not invincible. And maybe you're right, Bob, but regardless, we know what the final outcome is. Northcom coming out and announcing they're going to field troops against the American people for insurrection. Ahead of it, they know what they're doing is so bad, people are going to resist. Just God help us, you traitors. Bob, what do you say to the military? What do you say to the police? What do you say to everybody about this? It's not like we just started this week saying this. We've been saying this for decades, and now it's all happening.
Well, I think as far as the police are concerned, I think they have to be informed that they really don't want to be on the other side because they don't stand a chance. And even if they moved 500,000 troops out of Iraq, which they don't have there, or from other places in the world into the United States, they wouldn't stand a chance. I mean, you can easily arm, which are the people have already got the weapons, 45 million male adults in America. I mean, sure, the kill ratio might be great, but the other guys can't win. So the military has got to think about all being exterminated, but just by numbers. I mean, even with a 20-to-1 kill ratio, they still can't win. And a lot of these people who have weapons in America are veterans. I'm one of them. You know, I'm a crack shot. I can make kills at 1,000 yards.
Well, let's boil it down. Let's say 1% of 100 million gun owners. We know it's higher than that, but 100 million. Because when pollers call people, a lot of folks won't say they have a gun because they're smart. If 1% of a million fight back, that's 1 million combatants. And I don't even want this, folks. I mean, they're saying they're going to use Mexican and Canadian troops. It was public a decade ago, but they signed the deal last year in Canada. In January of 2008, 9 months ago. And Congress, a few congressmen said, well, you're not authorized by Congress. And I mean, used to they had to commission an officer, folks. Congress used to be in control. So the president couldn't be a dictator. And they just said, you know what? We'll use Canadian and Mexican troops for insurrection in the U.S. during any emergency, including economic, and that's it. Shut up. And now Paulson tells Congress, shut up. I mean, this is open. They are insurrecting against our republic. I want to make that clear. This is illegal, what you're doing.
It's our duty to take them out.
Bob, you never used to talk like this, and I mean, as a veteran, as somebody who fought against the Russians in intelligence operations, what do you think the other people in government are saying, or are they just total ne'er-do-wells?
Well, I think they're as terrified as we are. We wouldn't be talking this way if we weren't really terrified about the ramifications of this. And I do programs that are devoted directly to military people, and we discuss this all the time on these programs. And I tell them, and I say, spread the word. These men are all over the world. You do not want to attack the American public. That is an order. If you're given that order is illegal, and you have to challenge it. I mean, we saw the Nuremberg war crimes trials, and the excuse was, well, you know, if we didn't do it, they'd shoot us. Well, you're not supposed to do it. And so the military knows what's going on, and they're very, very concerned because they don't want to get involved in that. They're there to defend America, not to police Americans or shoot them, and they're good people. And I don't know what this is going to come to, but I do know this. If it comes to that, the people will win. They'll pay a terrible price.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen, Bob.
And government will be wiped out.
Yeah, I want you to get more into what this will come to in a moment, and then back into gold in the final segment coming up. But right now, the problem is they will have provocateurs who they allow to escape attack military groups on video to then demonize anyone resisting the troops. They're also training, like you do with dog training, when you train a dog to attack, on dummies. And they're saying they're going to fight crime, fight terror, fight rioters, and help with the jaws of life get people out of cars. And it says they're just going to show up and the military is going to do it as kind of a PR thing. So they're going to phase this in with PSYOP. But I still don't think that's going to work, Bob. But, I mean, you get the angle I'm going with here.
Yes, I do. And one of the reasons it's not going to work is because of your program and programs like yours that are discussing this in the air. Both sides of the situation, why we don't want it to happen, but why it probably or might happen, and what to do under those circumstances. This is what democracy is about. You're not going to get it, of course, on the major media, but by the fact that we're discussing this is extraordinarily important.
Well, the government and the criminals running it are not invincible, and these mercenaries are going to turn and run. And yes, folks, it's a serious probability this is going to happen. We're going to skip this segment, too. Okay, Bob, I'm going to keep you till about 40 after. Right now, continue getting into what I interrupted there with what you're saying, you know, how this will unfold if it does go into a shooting war, some of the different scenarios.
Well,